Okay, so suggestions for what we should be talking about are coming in. Thanks very much, and keep those coming. Kendall, I promise we will get to talking about my course mates. Who knows, maybe we'll start a special guest series and I'll have someone from all the different countries pop in and chat for a little while. We'll see. That would require organizing, not so rambly. But who knows? We will hold it in mind as a possibility. Anyway, for now, hello! I'm Rebecca Farnum. This is Ramblings with Rebecca. And today we're going to talk about war. One of my favorite / most ridiculous memories from undergrad is a favorite professor of mine talking in class in one of our security studies core courses for the international relations degree, saying, as a social scientist, I like more war. More war equals more N. And by N, he meant little n, as in, in an academic article or an experiment, you'll say N equals 52. The number of data points that you're pulling from, the amount of sources you've got, that kind of thing. So there's this idea that, for the academic, the more states go to war, the more things we have to theorize about and explain and debate and have fun intellectually with. But now, of course, I know this professor, he doesn't actually like warfare, obviously. We're not all going, rah, rah, kill each other, hooray, fun! So there's this bizarre thrill of scholarship, that it's fun to try and tackle and understand, and there's this love of learning, even when you're dealing with really nasty subjects. So that's definitely going to be an issue for me in this class on international conflict and humanitarian law, because we started with a really quite a fun intellectual debate talking about how we legally define war and what war actually is. And you're having fun and, throwing statements back and forth across the classroom and, seeing who thinks what means war and is war ever legal and yada yada. And then you're like, oh God, we're talking about people killing people. This shouldn't be okay or fun or anything like that. So naming that tension and recognizing it, and perhaps something we should talk about and address a bit more in classrooms and in academic writing than we often do. Anyway, so acknowledging that tension and moving ahead with the intellectual joy nonetheless, the legal definition of war is tricky when war is actually happening. War is often used colloquially to refer to armed conflict between nations, military acts, that kind of thing. Legally, just because states are engaged in military actions, not necessarily actually at war, one could argue the states would need to declare formally war, in which case the US hasn't done that for quite a while. Legally, you might say, well, okay, UN member states never can legally be at war with each other anymore. War has been made illegal, so there's never a legal state of warfare, even if you're bombing each other or something. So lots of interesting notions of legally when war and warfare does or doesn't happen. As good a definition as my lecturer for this international conflict and humanitarian law thinks that he can come up with is a situation in which it becomes legal for two nations, or countries, to inflict injuries upon each other in ways that are not legal in times of peace. So the legal definition of war is actually simply when the laws of war become enacted. Another legal world is entered. So you'll see in a lot of kind of main and classic treaties between nations, that it will say, in the law, in times of peace, blah, 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 these are in effect. In times of war, blah, 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 these are in effect. It's completely different and mutually exclusive legal worlds. So legally, you're actually only at war if those laws of wars are taking place. The International Red Cross is very careful to say that international humanitarian law, which we would often associate with war law, is in effect whenever there is military armed conflict happening, so that they're able to intervene in situations of conflict that colloquially we would know as war, when legally there may not in fact be war happening.